There's a variety of support groups around, but very few in the Pioneer Valley are set up to help just family members of veterans. While they don't suffer physically, those here on the home front often bear emotional burdens that take their toll over time and over many deployments. Reel to Reel Steve Kiltonic has the story of a unique organization that has been a safe harbor for just such individuals and a way for them to meet and interact face to face.
We've all heard the stories of veterans who have served in the Iraq and Afghanistan wars. But what about their families back home? The parents, siblings, spouses, and children of these vets. What are they going through as they await the fate of their loved ones? It's not the type of thing you'll normally read about on the front pages or watch on the evening news. In Amherst, a group called Military Families Connect gathers twice a month at the offices of the Veterans Education Project. They share stories about the men and women in these photos, those brave warriors who stand in harm's way. Everyone here is a family member of someone who is currently serving in the military or who has served in the past. The people who attend the meetings here at 409 Main Street come from different backgrounds, different experiences, different towns. But they share a common bond, which helps to alleviate some of the fears and anxieties that come from having a loved one overseas. Military Families Connect started, in part, out of the tragedy Joyce and Kevin Lucy of Belchertown experienced. In 2004, their 23-year-old son, Jeffrey, a Marine corporal, committed suicide shortly after returning from Iraq. Although it wasn't officially diagnosed by the military, the Lucys believe Jeffrey suffered from post-traumatic stress disorder.
When Jeffrey was going through a lot toward the end, I always felt, well, maybe I'm being too much of a mom, maybe I'm being too protective, you know, and I'm making too much of this. I didn't really have anybody to bounce it off of, and I think that's critical when you're dealing in a situation we were dealing with.
Not knowing anyone in a similar situation, the Lucys had to deal with their son's isolation and reclusiveness alone.
We adapted to all the chaos that was going on inside the house and inside Jeff's life. And it was at that point that we turned to each other saying nobody should ever have to go through this ever again like that.
After Jeffrey's death, they met with the Veterans Education Project, which is comprised of veterans who share their wartime experiences with the public. From their sessions emerged Military Families Connect.
So we'd see how it went for 6 months, if there was any interest in the community, people would come. And at the end of 6 months, you know, we said, okay, we did this for 6 months, what do you guys think? And people laughed, well, the war's still going on, you know, of course, so why would we stop it? And there was clearly, you know, an ongoing need.
The group started small. Now, 6 to 14 members might be found at any given meeting. Larry said this isn't a therapy group, and here, politics are left at the door.
We recognize that whatever your beliefs are, if someone you love is in harm's way, you're going to be suffering. You know, there's no way around it.
Members often start to open up as they become more familiar with one another.
There's an initial hesitancy to speak out, and then when they do, and they see the group understands where they're coming from, it becomes a comfortable place to be, and people connect on, you know, a range of levels.
If somebody has a loved one over there and they cry or that you understand, it's some place that you can be emotional.
Through the support group, we have found some beautiful people. I mean, really empathetic, really caring, and
I think we need the support still, even though we lost Jeff. You still need the support.
They now serve as a group resource for military or government news of interest.
this week we're going to find out whether suicide prevention is going to be cut for veterans.
From where? From what budget?
From the SAVE program?
From the Department of Public Health.
Ann Diamond from Wendell has been a member for over 2.5 years. Her son Jacob and daughter-in-law Cynthia were both deployed to Iraq for 15 months. Jacob, an Army Chief Warrant Officer, flew Black Hawk helicopters. Cynthia, a captain, served in human resources. For Diamond, the toughest part having both overseas was the waiting.
Just kind of waiting for the bad news, you know, and hoping for good news.
Jacob flew combat missions, mainly late at night.
I would say, okay, it's 2 o'clock in the morning here, so it's, you know, 10 o'clock in the morning there, so, you know, he's probably done. Hopefully he's done, so I can now rest the rest of the night easier. You know, maybe I'll be able to go to sleep.
Diamond's daughter Tessa attended a meeting in the spring of 2007 and felt it might help her mother. Ann says she survived Jacob's first tour and came to a meeting not expecting much.
Immediately, as soon as I was in the group, I felt known. I felt like I didn't have to explain anything, and I realized that even though I had made it through one deployment, that I was really alone. I felt very, very alone.
Ann says her friends didn't quite get it when they talked about the war.
It was great to be with a group of people that understood, and I didn't have to explain anything, and I felt cared for. If I had a problem, there was somebody I could call and talk to that would be there in a heartbeat for me.
Jacob's out of the military now, but could be called back. Cynthia was redeployed to Iraq this past December. For Laura Strandlin of Amherst, Military Families Connect helped her cope with her son Jonathan's 4 deployments, 2 each to Afghanistan and Iraq. In Iraq, he served in the infantry and also with a civil affairs battalion attached to a special forces unit.
The first deployment was just incredibly difficult for our entire family. For my husband and for myself, we felt very alone, we felt very isolated.
After joining, Laura was able to better deal with her son's deployment. Plus, it helped her to help others cope.
It was a real lifesaver in that I was able to connect with other people on an emotional level. We could speak our own unique language. You could really kind of put your guard down and say, I'm really having a terrible day, and the other person doesn't even need an explanation. They get it, and that is what's really beautiful about it. There's no judgment, there's just love and care, and so it's been a real blessing.
But while emotions can run high, it's not all gloom and doom.
This group has been full of laughter. You know, I don't want people to think, oh my God, this is such a depressing, oh no, these people are insane in a very good way. And the laughter, I think, helps tremendously.
And the friendships extend beyond the meetings, which sometimes take place at local restaurants.
We like to eat.
Okay.
And, you know, we've gotten together and made like Christmas cookies, things like that.
We send each other funny emails, and we just call each other on a whim, and sometimes we'll just hang out, and that's really nice to have.
Even when their loved ones return, some members say they'll remain with the group.
Even if he were to get out, I would still be a part of this because I think that other people need it, and it helps me to give something back.
And as long as there's wars, Military Families Connect will continue.
I mean, certainly we want to be there as long as there is a need, you know, as long as people are being deployed. But you know, I kind of hope that we would get to the point where there's not a need. You know, that would be really nice.
To learn more about Military Families Connect, call 413-253-4947 or email vep@crocker.com. For Real to Real, I'm Steve Kiltonic.